So as you heard, Thomas will be setting up recording the call and managing muting the phones. The call will start shortly. Welcome to the call. The call will start in just a moment. Welcome to the call. It is now 6 p.m., and here is Thomas.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the call. So first I want to set up a little bit of housekeeping so there will be some dinging going on as people come onto the call, if you could just include that. In a moment, I will be muting everyone, and your background noise will be muted automatically, and at certain times during the call, there will be an opportunity to share, at which time I'll open the call up, and how you share is simply stating your name, and then I'll call on you, and you can share at that time. So in this second, I'm going to go ahead and mute. So everybody's now muted, so you don't have to worry about your own background noise. So first of all, I want to welcome you, and I just want to acknowledge and appreciate who you are, that you made time to be here, and I promise that if you bring everything you've got, all the listening you can muster, that you will leave this call being enlivened and lit up by the experience of yourself and what you are capable of. The reason I do these calls and the reason I do the work that I do is to fulfill on a commitment I have, a profound commitment to couples being powerfully united, profoundly reunited, and magically in love. I am the possibility of love, true love, being expressed, experienced, and expanded wherever I am. And this is my declared purpose in life. So welcome to the call. This is the July complimentary conference call for the Stages of Love. And today, this afternoon, we're going to talk about life purpose. And as I've talked to many of you one-on-one, some of you whom I'm coaching, in order for your life purpose to become clear, one thing that has to be dealt with is your ongoing pursuit of happiness. You and I have to be that happiness is handled. Now let's take a look. First of all, what is this thing called happiness? You know, I think that if you really looked at happiness, and if each one of you took a moment and you talked to each other about happiness, one thing that you might realize is that we all have a lot of different opinions about what it really means to be happy. In fact, you might notice that we have a lot of different opinions about what happiness actually is and what it even looks like. So we're going to go straight to Wikipedia and see what Wikipedia has to say about happiness. Okay, Wikipedia says, happiness is a mental or emotional state of well-being. It's characterized by positive or pleasant emotions ranging from contentment all the way up to intense joy. So when I read that and I hear that, I also go to Gerald Jampolsky, who wrote Teach Only Love, because that's what you are. And he says happiness is peace of mind, a stillness of heart. So I'd like to take that on as that's happiness, peace of mind, a stillness, if you will. And then I say that you and I have to have happiness handled in order to have what we call life purpose show up. In order for us to really give ourselves fully to something, we can't be on this wild pursuit for happiness. We got to have it handled. Like there are other things in your life that you might have handled. So now I want you to listen to me just for a moment, because I know every now and then you'll bleep out, right? You won't be present. I want you to get present, because I'm going to open the line just for a moment. And I'm going to ask you to share with me what are some things in your life that you have handled. Like you clearly have them handled. Like there's one thing in my life that I clearly have handled. I have food handled. I'm clear about where my next meal will come from. So having food for me is not a worry or concern that I have. I also have it handled. My physicality is handled. I know that I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to manage my body. These are not things I have to think about. Now, I want to hear from a couple of you. What are some things in your life that you say, yes, I have this handled? I want to hear from a couple of you, please.
Joanne Bray.
Yeah, Joanne.
I have it handled that I'm a great parent and I have great relationships with my kids.
Okay, say it again, because what you don't have handled is your telecommunications. Couldn't hear you.
Okay, what I have handled is I'm a great mom and I have great relationships with my daughters.
Yeah, very good. So you have it handled. You're being a mom and having great relationships with your kids. You have that handled. Very good. Somebody else, what do you have clearly handled?
This is Ron.
Yeah, Ron.
I have my livelihood handled, like my form of income and work. Got that
Very
handled.
good. Excellent. So you can see if you have those kinds of things handled, there's a particular kind of handled they are. I want you guys to consider, that you and I have to be that way with happiness. So first of all, take the case that we're not. Most of us don't have happiness handled the way you have a lot of other things handled. And the reason we're not that way with happiness is because we have happiness and our circumstances connected. I'm going to say that again. The reason we're not that way with happiness is because we have happiness and our circumstances connected. It's not your fault. It wasn't an actual choice you made, but it is a paradigm into which you were born. So you're born into this automatic assumption that those two things are connected. In fact, if you really take a look, you'll notice that you and I even push happiness away. We train ourselves to refrain from happiness. Take a look in your own life. You say to yourself in some manner, I cannot be happy until. For some of you, it's I can't be happy until I lose weight. For somebody else, it might be I can't be happy until I have the body of my dreams. For others, it might be I cannot be happy until I stick to a real diet, or I have the love of my life, or I have a job that really, really fulfills me, or I own my own home. The list goes on and on, but every single one of you on this call, without exception, has a list of something that must be in order for your mind to allow you the experience of happiness. And even that experience is fleeting at best. So one conversation we want to have seriously is this thing about happiness, this elusive thing. So first of all, try this on. Please consider just for a moment that your happiness and your circumstances are not innately connected. They're not. They're just not. It looks like it. It feels like it. It even seems logical to some degree that they are. But listen, you and I can't always depend upon our own personal experience of reality to make choices and decisions. And if we did, we'd be in really big trouble. So versus our getting into our experience of reality, let's do some investigating. Let's do some reality checking. You see, if you don't know what's going on, if you didn't know about your own circumstances, let's say you had no connection to them at all. You know, maybe you had some type of a mental disorder that kept you from noticing your circumstances. You could create being happy, couldn't you? Sure you could. But of course, that's not the way life is. We're very present and conscious to our circumstances. So that means that you and I have to exercise the power of our mind. And by the way, let's talk about the power of your mind. I don't think anybody on the call would argue that your mind is extraordinarily powerful. But I want you to get that the mind is so powerful. Now listen up. Your mind is so powerful that it can make something outside of itself even more powerful. Did you get that? Your mind is so powerful that it can actually make something outside of itself even more powerful than it is. So you and I, that is our mind, makes our circumstances more powerful than we are. I'm going to say that again. You and I, that is our mind, makes our circumstances more powerful than we are. Did you get that? Our mind makes what's happening more powerful than we are. Now, who did that? Who gave that power away? We did. So if you can be responsible for, like if you could say, I am responsible for that I made my circumstances more powerful than my mind or myself, then I, because I did that, have the same power to take it back and say who I am is in charge. You see, if you look at it realistically, you're not even doing the thinking. You are being thought. Let's take back our thinking. Let's take back our creativity. Let's start by retraining the mind so that we can create happiness at any point in time. So that takes us into this thing, retraining the mind. You see, training the mind is much like training a puppy. So if you've ever had a new puppy and you've had to train that puppy, there are some very specific things that work with training puppies. Like number one, we start the puppy off on paper, right? We lay down the paper, and when the puppy gets ready to go, you know, you're keeping a good eye on the puppy. That's important. Puppy gets ready to go, and you quickly pick up the puppy, and you run the puppy to the paper. And then the puppy uses the paper, and then you love the puppy, and you adore the puppy for going on the paper, right? And then within some time, that puppy will automatically go to the paper. Magnificent. Now, what happens if you move the paper? See, you first put the paper down, let's say, in your family room, and you run the puppy to the paper in the family room, and then all of a sudden you change your mind. You decide, I'm going to now move the paper to the kitchen. You've now confused the puppy. The puppy won't know, do I go in the family room or do I go in the kitchen? So it just goes anywhere. Consistency is critically important. You must leave the paper in the same place. And then you can transition to outside. You start moving the puppy outside. It starts to really enjoy being outside anyway, and so it gets attracted to that, and now you've trained the puppy. And this is how you train the mind. You can't move the paper. You must be consistent in your thoughts and in your actions around your mind. That's why practicing this thing that we call honoring your word is the paper. You can't move the paper. You honor your word. You practice what you say and you do what you say. That practice is critically important. Without that practice, without that muscle memory, you cannot accomplish what I'm trying to give you. And we're going to talk a little more about that later, but for now, I want you to take the case that you've trained the mind. Let's just have that you've dealt with your mind in the matter, and now you've created happiness as a habitual way of being. It has become your single goal, peace of mind. And every time you're not happy, you take on the possibility of creating it again and again and again until that becomes your natural way to be. So I've unmuted the call. I want to just check in with you because we're going to shift gears a little bit here in a moment, but I want to hear from you. What do you hear so far? What's opening up for you? Anything you might want to put in this space right now. Just say your name and let me call on you. Please, let's have 2 or 3 people.
David?
Yeah, David.
So what? Can you hear that?
Somebody is on a, oh boy. Somebody is on a speakerphone. Turn off your speakerphone or mute yourself, please.
You have your speakerphone, you have to mute it.
Yeah, thank you. Very good. Okay. I forget sometimes to tell people about speakerphone. Go ahead, David.
So in the background, I'm measuring my interpretation of happiness to this conversation.
Yeah.
And it's like a contrast. I measure happiness for me in like an aggregate sense. So when I look at my life, and I look at all the different spaces in my life, and I look at it as an aggregate, and I measure, am I happy? Like, do I have power? Is my life working? Is my life moving forward? Ultimately, I can say yes to the question. So in tonight's conversation, I'm questioning, you said something, happiness is not innate from your circumstance. Is that what you said?
I said that your happiness is not innately connected to your circumstances.
Got it. So that has me looking. I hear a lot of noise.
That's okay. You just have to include it, David, please.
Got it. So I have me looking at happiness differently now, and I'm left with a question. How can you build on that statement? Like as an example to say that happiness is not really innately connected.
Yeah. Well, consider that happiness is not innately connected to your circumstances. So therefore, if it's not connected, if I've connected them, you and I connected them, then we can disconnect them. Can you hear that part at least?
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'm going to mute anyway. David, you hit *6 after I mute. David, you hit *6. That way you and I can talk and people don't have to deal with all that background noise. It sounds like somebody's cutting something or something. David?
There we go.
There you go. Very good. Perfect. Yeah, it takes a second or so. Okay. So So stay with me. So this is really good what you're saying, because when you're checking in, am I happy or not, you're checking into certain circumstances that say, oh, yeah, this is going well, this is going well. That equals I can be happy. You get that? Like the mind, it's almost
absolutely.
like permission.
Absolutely.
Versus who I am is happy. And because who I am is happy, circumstances have a whole different occurring to you. You can get that part, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the game changer is then, given I've lived most of my life with this connection, and now I'm trying to shift it. I now have to retrain my mind, because the way, as far as my mind's concerned, all the power for my happiness has been given to everything other than to me. You with me?
Say that again, please, that last statement.
Yeah. So I'm going to just use you. I'm going to say you have given all your power to outside forces to let them determine David's happy or David's not.
Got it. Because here's what I'm seeing. My happiness is an outcome, not a creation.
Very good. Perfect. And also, David, you may have heard this or not, but just in case you didn't or somebody else didn't, what is happiness? Well, what we boiled it down to is happiness is peace of mind. So we actually could have peace of mind in the face of anything. You see, people, the most memorable people, if you just think about anybody you've admired the most, one thing you'll notice is like, wow, they would have so many things going on in their life, and yet who they were was whole, complete. They had a simpleness about them, a happiness about them, a peace of mind about them, right? So bringing peace in the face of chaos is like one of the things that anybody on this call would really want, because it will give you a bigger life, regardless of what matters to you. Thanks, David. It was really good. Now, I spent a little more time on that than I intended, which I appreciated because it opened up a lot. So I'm not going to take any more sharing. So I will be sharing a little later in the call. David hit *6, and that'll mute you again. Because now I'm going to take a nice little shift, because you see, we're talking ultimately about opening up your life purpose. That's ultimately what we're interested in this call. So we're looking at different aspects that connect to the freedom to get present to something that maybe you weren't present to before. So now we've talked about happiness and its connection. Now let's take a look at the human body. The human body is a collection of energy. It is a system. In fact, you guys, the heart is an electrical organ, and it produces, by far, the strongest source of bioelectricity than any other organ in your body. It's like 50% stronger than the second organ, and the second organ is your brain. This electrical energy, it travels through every single cell of your body. And if I'm not mistaken, we have like 400 trillion cells, okay? So this energy goes through every cell of your body, and in a sense, it binds the cells together. The electrical energy is so strong that it can be measured and detected outside the body. Electromagnetic energy, much like radio waves. So it produces an electromagnetic field that surrounds our bodies entirely. By the way, this energy, like I said before, can be measured, and statistically, human beings have various degrees of voltage at different times in their life. But a standard is about 1/2 up to 1 full volt. Now get this. When you're sick or have medical conditions, people who are depressed, maybe have MS, have very, very low voltage. In fact, it can go down as low as 5 to 9 millivolts. By the same token, on the other side of this coin, athletes, people with higher levels of consciousness, people who are statistically and consistently happy, People who meditate, take care of themselves, have levels up to 2,000 millivolts. So consider that your body is like a radio transistor. It's like a radio receiver. And if you don't have enough power in your nervous system, you cannot effectively attract what you want. So here's what I'd like for you to consider. Consider that each human being has what's called a vibrational frequency. This is not a new word for many of you, but don't hear it like you've heard it before. Hear it newly. Every human being has a vibrational frequency, and that frequency is detected by other human beings. It's not a conscious detection, you understand. We could get really weird. It'd be like we're walking around buzzing, but you really are walking around buzzing. You're just not conscious of that. You're not conscious of that any more than you're conscious of the earth spinning. Are you conscious of the earth spinning at 1,000 miles an hour? And are you conscious of that earth spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, that big dirt clod, right, being hurled through space around the sun at another 66,000 miles an hour? You're not conscious to that, right? If we don't take the time to observe the earth spinning from an angle where we can see it spin, we would never know that it's spinning. And so, just like the vibrational frequency that you are, it's not like you know it. You've got to now observe it in other ways. So let's take a look. Consider that certain vibrations attract other kinds of vibrations. So if you have a high vibrational frequency, we're going to make up measurements of 1 to 10. We're going to say 10 is the highest, and 1, let's say that's the lowest, okay? And let's just say that you're vibrating at what we're going to call the average human vibrational frequency of about 4. Now, I know some of you are saying, 4? If we're doing 1 through 10, you mean we're only a 4? Consider that you are, mostly. And if you're a 4, then you can attract anything that's vibrating at a 4 or less. Now, let's say you're really high and you're vibrating at an 8. Now, that vibrational frequency can attract its own level 8 and anything less than that. Now, why do I want a high vibrational frequency? Well, the higher it is, the more I can include. The higher it is, the more I can attract to me. The higher it is, the more clear and conscious I am. So let's talk about how to increase your vibrational frequency. Why? Because the higher your vibrational frequency, the more power you have in this life. And when I talk about power, I'm talking about power to have a life that works. I'm talking about power to have love, peace, satisfaction, and fulfillment. That's the kind of power I'm talking about, okay? I'm not talking about the kind of power to rule a kingdom. This is not Game of Thrones. But I think you get the point. It's the power to attract what matters to you most, the power to keep happiness in existence, no matter what. So if you have good health, we already found out that you have higher levels of vibrational frequency. So good health, that's one way to increase your vibrational frequency. So that might mean, and nobody wants to hear this, okay, but listen anyway. It might mean that you want to seriously look at your diet. Because, see, there are certain kinds of foods that we eat, certain kinds of food that naturally bring down your vibrational frequency. Animal fat is one. Anything that might make you feel sluggish, anything you might accuse of being an energy stealer for you is bringing down your vibrational frequency. It's stealing your energy. Meditation take on meditating. And you know what? Meditation has many different forms, and I'm sure many of you on this call have ways that you meditate, and you could share lots about meditation, and I hope that you will. In a few minutes, I'm going to open up so we can hear from you. Now, I'm a very active guy. I'm a type A personality, you might say. And to meditate in a way that seems the standard way to meditate, where you have to like slow everything down and sit down and like really meditate, it's never been a strong suit of mine. But here's what I do. Here's how I meditate. I cat nap. You see, I might just lay my head back and close my eyes. I don't necessarily sleep, and I don't necessarily not sleep. But when I'm doing it, a lot of things come together for me. I get a lot of work done. Sometimes I come out of it, and I get up and I have an action plan that I didn't have before. I might drift in and drift out, but I'm present to my body. I'm present to laying still. I'm not necessarily thinking, and I'm not necessarily trying not to think. I really am just being, and it is energizing for me, and I get a lot of work done. And once I open my eyes and get started again, I see things more clearly than I did before. I'm certain my vibrational frequency has increased, and I have an action plan that maybe I didn't have before. So that's how I meditate. And meditation will increase your vibrational frequency. Now, take a look. I got to bring you back again because I know your heads are going everywhere, and I'm a fast talker. But come on back and talk to me. I want to hear what you personally could take on to increase your own vibrational frequency. So I'm sure you got something on your mind, something you could share. Just say your name and just let me call on you and blurt something out, okay? Share with us.
Sarah?
Ron.
Yes, Sarah. Go ahead and then Ron.
For me, it's definitely about food and exercise.
Yeah.
I'm doing a cleanse, and I'm also going to buy myself a tricycle for fat folks because then
nice.
if I get tired, I can just rest until I have the energy to trike on.
Exactly right, Sarah. And listen, as you're shifting the kinds of foods that you're putting into your body, like, you know, we might call it diet, which is, you know, is such a bad word. But if you're just shifting, if you just shift the food quality, that's one thing, right?
Right.
But also shift why you are eating. See, for pleasure, just like most human beings. But I have shifted my connection to food, and I now think of food more as energy. Like what's going to give me the most power today? And then
or fuel.
That's right, fuel. And then sometimes I might crave something or want something, and I'll say to myself, now, self, you know that's going to rob you of energy. Like pizza, let's just give that as an example. It's a killer for me.
Right.
But I can choose it. And if I choose it and be responsible for my choice, then when I don't have the energy, I got nothing to complain about, right? But it's a valid choice. So very good.
Right.
Thank you for sharing. I really, really appreciate you.
And I also find that it's helpful for me to maybe go ahead and give myself the treat, but in a smaller size so that I'm not, like, reacting to a sense of deprivation.
Okay, well, that's good, too, if you want to call it a treat. I will ask you to change the word and no longer call it a treat.
Okay.
Yeah, because when you do something good, like a puppy, you know, a treat seems to be called for. Well, I want you to do a lot of good things, and I don't want you having lots of treats. So better to relate to that it's energy, and once in a while I can take a dip if I need to. Very good, Sarah. You're awesome.
Got it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, Ron.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I'm Eastern time, so it's a little later than you guys. So my energy level, I would say, was low. But what I found is being involved in these kind of conversations is a method or an access to increasing my energy level or frequency. Or
very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Perfect. dealing with anything that raises your consciousness will increase your vibrational frequency. Absolutely. That's why people who are very conscious attract a lot of people. They have a very high vibrational frequency. And then naturally, they start to add all these other elements, such as the foods they eat, the way that they take care of their body, doing physical things. Because you know how it is. When you get a little bit, like for instance, you get a little bit of that energy, you get a little bit of that power, and you taste it, and you say, wow, this is good. You mean I can do this, this, and this and get more of it? I'm going to try that. It gets more attractive. So we want to make all of these elements very, very attractive. Thanks, Ron. Anything else for you before I mute?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Very, very good. So listen, you guys, we definitely have more to the call, but I want to take this opportunity to say that we've created ways, like I put together opportunities for support so that what you're committed to can get fulfilled. So, like Ron said, we're on the call. It raises your consciousness a particular amount, and that opens you up and it gets you excited. However, for real shifts to take place, sometimes we need to do them together. So I've created a series of clinics. It's like a seminar series, but I'm calling them coaching clinics. We meet once a month, 5 months, okay? We have August, September, October, November, December. They're $250, includes all 5. I have 2 of them. One starts in Sacramento on August 21st at the DoubleTree Hotel, 7 p.m. till 9 p.m. The other one starts August 28th in San Francisco, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. When you register, I'll let you know the location. So what we do in these clinics is we use different mediums to impact the breakthroughs and the expansion that we want to have. So I use video, we use interaction, coaching, we use actual study materials that you'll work on in between. There's a lot of different pieces and parts. It's exhilarating and exciting. I have a few seats left in Sacramento, and I have about 7 or 8 seats left in San Francisco. Go on my website to register, www.thestagesoflove.com, or feel free to call me or email me, 916-459-5704. Now, one more little commercial, okay? This Thursday, July 24th, in San Jose, at the Billy DeFrank Center at 938 V Alameda, this is all on my website, $10, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's extraordinary. It's an awesome evening. Come. That's in San Jose, July 24th. In Sacramento at the DoubleTree Hotel, August 7th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., $10. If you've been to one before, I want you to know that I'm shifting this one around. I'm bringing some elements to this one that I didn't do last month to spice it up for people who've been before because they might want to come again. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the work to really start getting down to what is my life purpose and how do I execute it. That's what we're going to do. So put those in your calendar. And, of course, lastly, I do personal coaching. And there is a coaching menu on my website. Check it out, and let's do some work together. Now I'm going to move on. And, of course, when I do this, I sometimes put papers everywhere. Here we go. So now we looked at many ways to increase your vibrational frequency, and I'm going to take you into just one other thing, taking care of your heart. Now, taking care of your heart is critically important, not just for your life. I mean, we're in a society burdened by heart disease, yes? And disease is dis-ease in the spirit. You see, when you're angry or upset, those are very low expressions of vibrational frequency. When you are anxious, very low level vibrational frequency. These are indicators, you guys. If this is stuff that you notice that's going on in your life, number one, it's bringing down your vibrational frequency, which makes you less attractive, harder to be around. You'll attract less of what you really want, and the heart energy becomes distorted, and it begins to fight for frequency. This is hard on your heart. Do you understand? We not only eat wrong and kill ourselves, but we live wrong and kill ourselves. See, when you experience kindness, generosity, love, and by the way, this is something that I want to point out. A lot of people who will say, like you're thinking on the call right now, well, yes, I'm generous, I'm kind, I'm loving. Some of you are that, but you judge other people. See, if you're being loving and kind and generous, but while you're doing that, you're making everybody else wrong because they're not that, then you might as well not have had it to begin with because it's defeating the purpose. It's not giving you what you want. If it's authentic love, there's no judgment. Authentic kindness, there's no judgment. Authentic generosity, there's no judgment. And then the heart vibrates harmoniously with the energy, and it extends beyond the body. There was a study done that showed, I can't find the darn thing, and I will find it and put it on the website, but there was a study that showed when love was authentically extended, it could literally be measured from one body to the other. Incredible, incredible, incredible. So in order to upgrade your current relationships, or in order to attract the right kind of partner for you, you want to clear the space that you are. You want to retrain the mind. I want you to start concentrating on the frequency that you vibrate. Here's what to notice. Listen, we all have people in our lives who attract drama, right? You know who they are. You're thinking of them. Heck, it might be you. I don't know. But you think of that person's name and you think to myself, oh, my gosh, he or she, yes, they are a drama queen. I don't know. The truth is they attract drama. No matter where they go, boom, drama seems to follow. Now, you can just fill in the blank, take drama out and put anything in there. But we all know these kind of people, and we also know kinds of people who whatever they touch turns to gold. It's a distinct difference in vibrational frequency. So all is critically important to what you and I are up to. And I don't want it to be so critically important that you become mentally destructive about it, even though I know I sound really intense. I'll lighten up a bit here. But I want you to get serious about it like, okay, this makes sense to me. Let me put myself in an environment where I can shift and where I'm shifting with other people who want the same quality of life. See, I say that you're interested in attracting the type of person that's going to love you, adore you, appreciate you, and cherish you. And you want someone for whom you can love, adore, and cherish yourself authentically. And those of you who are in relationships now, you want to cultivate that kind of loving in each other. And it is possible. Not only is it possible, I say that it's critical to have a life that you really love. Why would we throw away the most important thing to us in lieu of something else when we know that we have an access, we have a shot, we can make this the best thing that could ever be? It's just a matter of retraining the mind, retraining the body, and learning everything there is to know about the emotional body. And we will do that in the clinics. So this all leads us up to your life purpose. So you can see that if you're vibrating at a higher vibrational frequency, and if you're managing your heart energy, and if you're taking care of yourself physically, and you're creating happiness, distinct from your circumstances, that is, you have happiness handled, can you see that naturally, something will call to you? Listen, something probably has been calling to you, and maybe it's been ignored. You know, if you're so busy in the pursuit of happiness, or if you're so busy measuring everything around you to give yourself permission to be happy or not, to be good enough to experience happiness or not, then the real thing that you're really here for is likely to get missed. These are many, many distractions. Mark Twain said, there are two most important days in the life of a human being. The first is the day you're born, and the second is when you realize why. So I've opened up the call. I'd like to hear any last-minute sharing, anything that you're going to go, take with you. Just share to complete the call.
Cheryl?
Yes, Cheryl.
Hey, Thomas. Hi.
Welcome.
I just want to say that this has just been, phenomenal for me. I've just been struggling with a lot of the things, about happiness and just why am I not just happy and, and all that kind of stuff. And I just really the last few days have felt there's just a real change coming for me. And I'm finding that frequency thing is so true. When you vibrate at a frequency level of 4, that's all you're going to find is 4s. And that's what I've been finding myself with is people, below that. And I'm just realizing now that it's my frequency that's doing that. It's not, the circumstances. I'm actually creating that. And so this call has just been just awesome for me. Thank you.
I do want to put in one thing, okay, just a little correction.
Okay.
That you're not creating the outcome. You are creating the attraction.
Yes. Okay.
So see, whatever the outcome is the outcome. And you could say, well, when all the pieces fit together, yes, I created the outcome. But if you want real power in creation, you must take all the pieces apart. And you say, well, the outcome is a logical fit for who I'm being. And who I'm being is a logical fit for the vibrational frequency I am. And the vibrational frequency I am is a logical fit for how I manage myself, my body, my thinking, etc. You get that, Cheryl?
I get it 100%. It's thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me put that in. Somebody else.
This is Sue.
Yeah, Sue.
Hey, I was realizing in the call, thank you, Thomas, for all you do for all of us. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And I'm realizing that one of the most self-destructive things that I think gets in the way of creating happiness is self-comparisons to others, which means I always come up short. I always am the never enough thing.
That's right.
And even though I know it in my head, I know not to do that, it's so automatic.
That's right. Because here's the thing, Sue. You're comparing yourself to others. All human beings do it until they break the habit, okay? But hear me clearly on this. The culprit is not the comparing. Again, you got to tear it apart. Who am I being that I would compare myself? You understand? So who I'm being is not enough. Okay. What vibrational frequency must I be at to generate I'm not enough? Now, we don't really have to put numbers on it because I really don't know numbers. I made those numbers up. But let's pretend that I know the numbers and you and I are going to use it to move us forward. And we're just going to say that when you're doing that, you're vibrating at a 3. And if you're vibrating at a 3, that's even less than average. You following me?
Uh-huh.
So it becomes destructive. So focus on one thing. The one thing I want you to focus on is how to increase my vibrational frequency. And I gave you 4 things to manage the vibrational frequency. The first one is breaking happiness apart from your circumstances. You got that? that you want to really get. Happiness I can create at any time, no matter what's happening. Will I fail? Yes. And every time I fail, I'll create it again. That's part of what it is to create. See, if you only create when you win, well, let's just take a look at human beings in general. We just quit doing it.
Mm-hmm.
See, but you got to keep doing it until you fulfill on what you're after. So, am I communicating, Sue? You got something?
Yes.
Very good.
I
Thank you
get
for
that.
sharing. You're amazing
Thank you
for that. Yes,
Thanks.
thank you. Somebody else?
This is David.
Yeah, David.
My walk away tonight is reinvent, or number one, a real breakthrough for me is identifying patterns.
Yes.
And patterns is to where loss of power is, so I can get back in increasing my frequency, my vibration.
That's right. Yeah.
And another powerful consideration is looking at happiness in place of an outcome, like as a measurement of satisfaction, having power, but yet creating happiness as a foundation at any given time.
That's right. And David, on top of that, beautiful what you just said, also add for yourself, I'm creating happiness as the power to build all those things that will give me satisfaction and fulfillment.
Awesome.
If that's who I am, how can I not create awesome stuff around me? Correct?
I love it.
I love it too. Guys, our next call, August 17th. August 17th, 6 p.m., same call number. Please invite people who to be on the call who you might think would benefit. Thank you, each and every one of you, for being here. I'm completing the call. If there's anybody who has anything to say, you better shout it out now.
This is
Very
Sandy.
good.
I love you.
I
Love you, Thomas.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you. Bye-bye.